If you're walking after a stroke and still have a limp, I'm going to say something that might surprise you. Walking more might actually be the reason it's not improving. I know that sounds backwards because you've probably been told just keep walking, stay active, push through it, and you've been doing that. But here's the problem. If you're walking with a compensation pattern, and most people are, every step that you take is reinforcing that pattern, not fixing it. So you can walk every single day, put in a ton of effort, and still feel stuck with the exact same limp months later. Not because recovery has stopped, but because your brain has learned the wrong pattern and it's getting really good at it. And unless you change how you're walking, it's not going to change. That's what this video is all about. Because there's one mistake I see over and over again that keeps people stuck. And once you understand it and fix it, that's when walking actually starts to improve again. If you're walking after a stroke but still have a limp, there's a very good chance you're making that one mistake that's actually slowing down your recovery. And the frustrating part, most people don't even realize they're doing it because on the surface, it feels like you're doing everything right. You're walking more, you're staying active, you're pushing yourself. And those are all really good things. But what if all that effort is reinforcing the wrong pattern? What if the very thing you think is helping you improve is actually keeping you stuck? That's what I want to break down in this video because this one mistake is the reason so many people stay stuck with the same walking pattern for months or even years. And that mistake is you're practicing walking more, but not necessarily practicing walking better. That's a huge difference because after a stroke, recovery isn't just about movement. It's about how that movement happens. When you first start walking again after stroke, your brain is in survival mode. It's not focused on perfect movement. It's not focused on ideal mechanics. It's not even focused on symmetry. It just wants to get you from point A to point B. So what does it do? It finds the easiest possible way to make that happen. And that's where compensation comes in. You might shift your weight more to your stronger side. You might hike your hip up to help your leg clear. You might swing your leg out to the side instead of bending it normally. Your foot might slap the ground. Your knee might lock back, hyperextending. You might even shorten your step on one side. Or maybe you move faster than you can actually control because speed helps you get through it. And early on, that's okay. That's actually part of the process. Because in the beginning, getting moving matters. Your body is trying to solve a problem. Your brain is trying to create a pathway. And some of the compensation at first is common. But here's where things start to go wrong. If you keep walking that same way over and over again without correcting it, your brain starts to lock that pattern in. Every step becomes practice, but instead of practicing the right movement, you're getting really, really good at the wrong one. That's the biggest mistake slowing down stroke walking recovery. Now that you're walking, or not that you're walking, but how you're walking. And this matters because your brain is always learning. It doesn't only learn from perfect practice, it learns from repeated practice as well. So if you take hundreds of steps a day with poor weight shift, your brain learns poor weight shift. If you take hundreds of steps a day with a leg swing, your brain learns that leg swing. If you avoid trusting the affected side over and over, your brain learns that avoidance pattern. Your body starts to treat compensation like the normal solution. And after that repetition, it doesn't feel like compensation anymore. It just feels like, this is the way I walk. That's why so many people say things like, I've been walking for months, but I still limp. I'm doing a lot, but I don't feel like my pattern is changing. I can get around, but it still doesn't feel normal. I thought it would clean up on its own, but it hasn't. And usually it's not because they're lazy. It's not because they're not trying. And it's not because recovery is over. It's because the pattern hasn't changed. Your brain adapts to whatever you repeatedly do. So if the input is off, the output stays off. And the longer that goes on, the harder it becomes to break that habit. Because now you're not just recovering from weakness or impaired control, you're also trying to undo a pattern your brain has repeated thousands and thousands of times. That's why walking farther by itself is not always the answer. More steps are not always better. Sometimes more walking just means more reinforcement of the same limp. And I know that's hard to hear because most people are told to keep walking and stay active. And again, that advice is not wrong, but it's incomplete. Because if your goal is not just to move, but to move better, then quality has to matter. So what do you do differently? You shift your focus. Instead of asking how far can I walk, how much can I push through, how many steps can I get in, you start asking things like, how well am I walking? Am I controlling this movement? Am I shifting the weight the way I should? Am I actually using the affected side well? What does this step feel like? Is this helping retrain my brain or just helping me get by? That one change alone is huge because now you're not just going through the motions, you're actually training your brain. And that's what walking recovery and stroke really, after stroke really is. It's motor retraining. It's not just exercise. It's not just effort. It's not just endurance. It's teaching your brain a better solution. Let's break down what that looks like in real life. First, slow things down. I know this is the opposite of what most people hear because slowing down can feel discouraging. It can feel like you're regressing. It can feel less impressive. It can feel less productive. But in reality, slowing down is what often allows you for better movement to happen. Because when you rush, your brain falls back on the quickest strategy it already knows. And usually that strategy is compensation. Speed hides mistakes. I see it all the time. But slowing down exposes them, and that's where change happens. Second, start paying attention to your weight shift. A lot of people after a stroke avoid putting full weight through their affected leg. So they compensate by leaning to the stronger side. But if your brain never trusts that side again, it's never going to relearn how to use it. So even if it feels uncomfortable at first, working on a controlled weight shift is critical. That might mean practicing side-to-side movement. It might mean pausing slightly as you step onto that leg. It might mean using support so you can safely load that side. But the goal is to retrain confidence and control. Third, focus on how your foot is landing. Is your heel making contact first? Or is it slapping down? Is your foot clearing the ground? Or are you compensating by swinging your leg out? Those details matter more than most people think because walking isn't just movement, it's a sequence. And if one part is off, the rest of the chain is affected. Fourth, combine awareness with repetition because awareness without repetition doesn't create change, and repetition without awareness just reinforces bad habits. You need both. Short, focused practice is far more effective than long, mindless walking. 10 high-quality steps can teach your brain more than 50 sloppy ones. And here's the encouraging part. If you're dealing with a limp right now, that doesn't mean you're stuck with it. It just means your brain has learned a certain pattern, and patterns can be changed. That's what neuroplasticity is. Your brain's ability to adapt based on what you train it to do. But it only works if you give it the right input. So instead of just trying to do more, start doing it better. Slow down, pay attention to the details, focus on quality over quantity. Because once the quality improves, speed and distance will follow. That's when walking starts to feel more natural again. That's when you start seeing real progress. And that's how you break out of that plateau. If this has helped you understand why your walking might feel stuck, stick around. I put out videos like this to help you keep progressing, move better, and build confidence in your recovery. And if you know someone going through this right now, send this to them because this is one of the most common things holding people back with their stroke recovery. You're closer than you think. You may not need more effort, you may just need better input. And when you start giving your brain better input, that's when a real change can start to happen. You just need to train it the right way. If you're dealing with this and want to help and you want help fixing your walking pattern the right way, reach out to me. I work with people one-on-one to rebuild walking step by step.